Nintendo! Hello everybody, this is Milesluigi. Welcome you back to Let's Play Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. Joining me today is...
Higsby! Hello!
Hello everybody. So Evil Pop-Tart, unfortunately, sick today, so we're just gonna do this part without him today. Alright, so last time we got a vacuum block that lets us suck up a whole bunch of things and went through the Plaque Beach, which taught us to brush our teeth every day, or I guess if you're Bowser you need to brush your fangs. Thankfully it's not the Plaque Beach of fangs, it's teeth. Good for Bowser.
I don't think I've ever even seen like a toothbrush in a Mario game. Has there ever been one? Do they even know how to brush their teeth?
Maybe everyone, or the dentist society in the Mushroom Kingdom was just so good that every 6 months, whenever they clean people's teeth, even though they have to do a lot of work, they just do really good work. Who needs to brush your teeth? We've got dentists that just clean the teeth so well, you don't need to do that.
That would be nice.
So this ugly statue just kind of came to life. So that statue is probably there and was actually a memorial to an actual blooper, and now it's just being used as a pawn of Fawful. He's kind of evil, if you ask me. Either that or the statue actually wasn't a memorial and Fawful just kind of planted it there and is like, yes, I'm just going to plant this here for laughs and chortles.
Well, he called it a Fawful-ized statue, so it was probably there to begin with, I guess.
Probably. He destroyed a memorial, though. That blooper was probably a blooper of like 200 years ago as a great hero of the sea, Plaque Beach. And now it's just being used as fodder as our first boss, real boss in the game, actually. Showtime, everyone.
It's a very bizarre idea for a boss. Interesting.
Isn't it? This is the sea pipe statue. It's basically one big stone blooper. We can't do direct damage to it, but we can inhale it. Though by doing so, we actually take a little bit of damage, or Bowser takes a little bit of damage by doing that. It's really what looks really painful twisting inside attack. Wow.
So you're saying it's impossible to do a damageless run if that's like damage that you can't avoid?
I can get to that in a sec here first, okay?
No problem.
So, first thing first, whenever this blooper goes inside of Bowser, you can get a couple of shots into it with Mario and Luigi, and actually you could theoretically complete this boss battle in here entirely, but in that case you would actually have to take a hit, because you'll see later the blooper attacks us, and if we hit it with the hammer, he'll actually knock right back out. There we go. Do back and forth. And there we go. Here's the attack that I'm talking about. So it gets really, really angry, and if we counter this attack, he goes right back out. At which point we can finally punch the little sucker. Also, that did 2 damage. And there we go. And whap. Even though that was a great and not an excellent, it just feels so satisfying. And that feels even more satisfying. So yeah. If he is on top of the statue just like that, though, and we go to punch him, we just kind of punch the statue and do absolutely no damage. Now, even though I missed that attack there, it's theoretically possible if you want to go damageless in the game. You have to kill him entirely on counter attacks. When he comes flying at you, you just have to punch him back every time. That is slow, that is tedious, but it's how you would theoretically do a damageless run in the game, actually, is you would just kill him through counter attacks. It's kind of boring. But yeah, Stone Blooper, otherwise when he's attacking Mario and Luigi, he goes on that floating pattern. When he's above ground with Bowser, he actually uses the statue and actually kind of flings yourself at him. He can go at a couple of different arcs at you, actually, but the way you're supposed to hit him back is just punch him right back into the statue. There we go. You can kind of see the big difference in power between Mario and Luigi and Bowser, actually, because Bowser, with just basic punches, was doing closer to 40-50 damage, and us, with our special attack here, the shells, we're getting up to 20, so if we were to theoretically just stay in this part of the battle, this would take quite a bit longer. Though on the bright side, something interesting happens in this battle that was unexpected and very, very welcome, by the way. Bowser gets really angry and has fury.
Bowser has fury.
This is awesome, because look how much damage he does.
And why does this happen?
Okay, here we go. This is a cool mechanic I get to explain now, and I'm happy it happened really early on, too. As Bowser, if you get hit, and you get hit a lot more specifically, it doesn't matter if it's a lot of damage or a little damage, it's just taking a lot of hits, he'll sometimes just get mad, and he gets the furry status ailment. It increases damage you do and damage you take. In this case, it really helped us because we just killed the boss right out there because of it. Though it could also theoretically kill you because you get the furry status ailment and then you just get barrage attacks and die. It's a good thing in my book, though, because it's like, oh, wow, yes, I just won. That would have taken an entire another round otherwise if I hadn't gotten that status ailment. So it's just like Bowser had Fury. I love the naming, too, because you can say Bowser has Fury. Thanks, game. But I guess the statue probably was more of a memorial, and actually it spits out water kind of like that. Bowser's thirsty. And that causes part of Bowser's body to glow, so let's go check it out. Welcome to the Pump Works. Or actually, because Bowser's just drinking a ton of water, it causes this area to change a little bit. To where we can actually enter it. But before we can swim there, we just need a quick refresher on how to swim. Thankfully, Starlo gets over the point pretty quickly here, actually. It's just like, yeah, swim, A, B, okay, go. There we go. The swimming here is actually interesting, and it really is something that I could best explain, not really explain too well. Basically, if Mario and Luigi get separated too far from each other while swimming, you kind of lose control is the best way I can describe it. But here's the idea here. When Bowser is drinking the water, the area is filled with water. When he is not drinking the water, it dries off like this. And platforms and other things just move around because of it.
It's a good thing Bowser's insides are conveniently set up like a side-scrolling Mario level.
Quite, isn't it? It's also convenient how somehow we're in a place called the Pump Works, which is Bowser's esophagus, and it just fills with water continually whenever we drink water. On the bright side, we convince him to just keep drinking water by saying, there's crust in here, it's nasty, keep drinking the water. It takes a little bit of convincing first, though. And there we go. So we've come into one of these situations. There's a couple of these in the game where we have to make Bowser do something and just kind of actually just stand there while the Mario Brothers go on forward. And depending on what Bowser does, depends on what's happening inside of Bowser. Bowser's inside story, everybody. There we go. So now we're gonna float around here, and now we've ran into this guy. I called him a goblin last time. I'm totally wrong. It's globin, actually, like hemoglobin. So thank you for correcting me, person who did that. But here we go. Now we've entered into, as you mentioned, a side-scrolling area for Mario and Luigi to go through. It's a really good thing that I guess Bowser's part turtle, because he can just continuously drink water constantly. I know I have the top screen as a small little screen in the corner right there because the action's happening on the bottom screen, but just watch Bowser. He doesn't stop drinking. He doesn't need to go for a breath or anything like that. He just keeps drinking. Now, I can make him stop drinking if I wanted to, but then a lot of areas here actually become inaccessible. It's usually in our interest to keep the water up because you can access almost everything while the water is up. The only time you want to lower the water actually is when, well, the game kind of forces you because you need it for a puzzle or something like that.
So is this followed by a very long bathroom break afterwards, which allows us to access new areas?
Unfortunately not. It would make a lot of sense if it did. Because that water does have to go somewhere. And it is a water flow, keep in mind. So we have ran into a new enemy who just kind of tripped me up because this is the first time we're fighting him. And his name is the Bubble Blooper. He can actually change form. Right now he's in his bubble form. And this is the primary form I end up fighting him in, actually, because this is his form when the water is up. And unfortunately, Mario kind of died. I actually let him die, frankly. Because death mechanics in the game actually work really similarly to the first game, unlike in Partners in Time where you had all the babies and the craziness, where if you have a down bro, the other bro picks him up and then attacks slowly and difficultly, and it's hard to dodge everything. And of course, you one-up mushrooms as well to bring back a down bro, which I want to do because I don't want Mario and Luigi's experience to get skewed even more than the very slight skew it had from the beginning of the game. None of that for me, please. There we go. That was a whole lot better. There we go. But his form, the Bubble Blooper's form, actually is more of a regular dry blooper if I were to have Bowser stop plugging water, and is completely different. Borrowing from many RPGs, though, even though we're underwater at the moment, battling seems to take place in a completely separate realm of existence where we're no longer underwater.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. But this area in the game, Pump Works, is kind of like, I was first playing the game, I made it to this part of the game, and part of it was A, the awesome music, B, oh my gosh, I'm actually kind of in a dungeon and like past all the tutorial stuff. This is when the game kind of really started to click with me actually as a fun game to play, because we're past all that crap, you know? And it's in an area called the Pump Works, where we pumped away all the crap. Okay. In case you didn't get the joke. But in all seriousness, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's like they have an RPG and they're doing it right. There we go. So if we could swim through here, we can kind of see, okay, we've got to push some button switches here, but unfortunately they're inaccessible. Okay, there we go. This is the only reason you ever want to lower the water, actually, is for situations like this. And there we go. Now we can swim up to the upper platform here. And I could enter the pipe, but what does this button do? And that opened a pipe over there. Let's do some exploring.
It's already a lot less linear than Partners in Time.
Didn't take long, did it?
No.
It did not take long. There we go. This actually brings us to our next area. That other pipe there, which I didn't take, and I actually don't think during this video I took it, takes us to collect some items, and it also has some enemies as well. But we learned that we have to collect a sparky thing to unlock what... Okay. Unlock that door surrounded by DNA strands. Holy cow, those are gigantic DNA strands. And because I was kind of interested in looking a bit more into it, I wanted to look a bit more into Bowser just constantly chugging water like this. And it turns out, like, I just decided to look up what a turtle's lung is like, and it turns out turtles actually have really, really sturdy lungs that are meant to withstand very high pressures. And I'm like, oh, cool. It kind of actually does make sense. Also, a turtle's lungs can hold in their breath for hours. Not days, but hours, but there we go. Definitely long enough for us to get through this dungeon, that's for sure.
Still, we're like, he'd be full of water in like 30 seconds.
There's a lot of... Okay, I don't know how to respond to that one, though. How about this, a new enemy?
Sure.
This guy is the Proto Batter. So, Proto Batters hold just this club, I guess. First things first, we have to let these guys do their attacks. And they're actually really slow because Luigi gets to attack first before the Proto Batter, if you look at that. But he spits out part of himself and then swings that part of himself at you.
Interesting.
I think so. I think so. Now, interestingly enough, we go to attack him just like that, and he'll actually grow on us. And he'll grow up to 2 times. The bigger he is, the more damage his little bits do.
It's like Birdo.
In a way, kind of, yeah. He's spinning things that look like eggs at us. So, his tell actually is the direction he's swinging his club, which determines whether or not the bulb is going to go after Mario and Luigi. Though I find the bulb itself moves slow enough that you could usually prep your hammer in time to knock it back. It's just a matter of timing then at that point where, well, I didn't time it so well when that bulb decided to just go knock Luigi out. There we go. I figured I might as well take this time while we're just going through this dungeon for a bit to mention that in the previous video there was a comment about how a body is normally really good at fending off intruders through its white blood cells, and it kind of begs the question of exactly what kind of size scale are we working with here, because white blood cells don't appear to be an issue, or are the white blood cells the proto-batters?
that could very possibly be. I was going to say, like, you know, the enemies or something like that, but I mean, it's one way to look at it.
That is one way to look at it. I mean, on one hand, you could just say proto-batter. He has a club and he knocks you around with it. And his name is a pun on the word protein. Or maybe he is an actual white blood cell. Cool. There we go. So I actually just missed a couple of attack pieces there, so I went back and got it. And then there's that little hole there, which I currently cannot enter. It's too small. Can't get into it.
And what a coincidence. We're about to learn a new attack. Or a new technique. Actually, I don't know if it's connected in any way, but I'll assume it is, maybe? I don't know.
Not sure. It is worth pointing out that I didn't actually even purchase any gear coming into this area. 2 reasons. This area is relatively early on and I didn't feel like I need it, and 2, I'm going to be getting some gear here actually as part of the dungeon itself, so it felt kind of redundant to purchase it, and I feel like saving my money for other things. Ooh, look, there's the Sparky thing. That's the Sparky thing we're getting after, and that thing is scary.
Yeah.
That thing is really scary. Just looking at that thing, I don't even want to swim anywhere near that thing. Holy cow. There we go. There's another attack beast for us. This whole dungeon is laid out in a way where you can like go through a fair bit of it actually without the water up, and you can jump around and everything like that. But as I mentioned earlier, not really worth it in my personal opinion. I'd rather not move Bowser unless I need to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see how I could theoretically jump to that coin block if I wanted to.
Speaking of that coin block, that is actually something worth noting, is that Partners in Time gave you a lot of coins. There was like blue coins and like the 100 coins. Haven't been getting too many coins so far in this game, although that could change because it's still pretty early on.
It's nothing like in Partners in Time though, where you just hit a block and you get 20 coins, unfortunately. My memory's not quite so good on this game, but I want to say stuff like the 20 coins and 10 coins and stuff like that isn't in this game. Which is a shame, because it's like you get a decent amount of money then in that situation instead of you hit a coin block 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1.
Mm-hmm.
You can see here that this proto batter actually has a lot of HP to him. I used a green shell on a couple attacks and he's still not going down. Oh, well, now he's down. It's also kind of a testament to the fact that green shells, while they are more powerful than our standard attacks, they aren't that much powerful, all things considered. There we go. There's another one of those scary things. I hate those things so much. Let's bring Mario and Luigi's SP up a little bit there. Here's another fun fact for you. We're currently in an area called the Pump Works. The Spanish version of this game translated named this area the Hydro Zone.
Hydro Zone?
Mm-hmm.
What is it, from Sonic 3?
That was my thought exactly.
Woo!
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and push the shiny button, and that's going to cause this mysterious red blob to come out. It's kind of a sparky red blob. If we put that sparky red blob in front of the really scary thing, which, by the way, his name is a Chombone, he goes crazy and breaks things for us. He still looks really scary. And know that I was like, I have to feed him things? Scary, go away. He's supposed to look like worms or something like that. Or, as I learned, a thing called a loose, which is basically a white worm that lives inside of things. Which, that thought is scary too. And they eat orbs, which cause them to break things, which is also scary. We're baking up Bowser's body so we can proceed through it. Just a whole bunch of scary things here all together. But what is not scary is our level ups.
Woo!
Aww. +1 to the pal. Yeah. Darn.